Hey guys, welcome into today's video. This is going to be a brand new series on my channel. It's going to be a foundation a day for 42 days. The reason that I wanted to start this video is that I have 51 foundations in my permanent collection. It's the number 2 item, maybe number 1 right now, of makeup that I really like testing. I'm really into testing new foundations. It switches back and forth usually between blush, eyeshadow, and foundation, my 3 favorite makeup categories, probably a lot of people's favorite makeup categories. But 51 foundations is just too much for me to have in my collection. I recently did a makeup declutter, and I will link that up in the cards, where I went through my whole collection and I decluttered, breaking some of my makeup into 3 different categories: keep, declutter, and then I made up a third, which was items that I want to keep for reference but I'm going to take out of my permanent collection and move into the closet, where I keep makeup that I think is popular, relevant, things that I may want to reference in future videos but that I don't want to use in my personal everyday life. But I did not do that with foundation. And recently I've gone through a really big skin change. In the last 8 months to a year, I have gone from really dry skin to very oily skin, and a lot of foundations that used to work for me that were more on the dewy natural finish side just aren't working these days. So I'm grabbing and loving more matte foundation. So some of my foundations in my collection predate my skin change. So the reason for this series, I don't want to just declutter foundations based on memory. I want to retest a lot of them because some of them are pretty expensive. Some of them I may relove, some of them I may not like or may not work for me now, and it's time to make that determination. So while I have 51 foundations in my collection, this is foundation a day for 42 days because there are 9 foundations I have already made a decision on. Some of them I'm actually testing. They haven't gone into speed reviews, but I've worn them very recently, so I know exactly how I feel about them. But I will have to move them into wherever they're going to go, keep, declutter, or in the reference pile. And then there are some that I'm testing that I already absolutely love, haven't gone into a speed reviews, and I know that I'm going to be keeping them. And then 2 of them I have already made the decision that I'm going to declutter. Welcome in, you guys. Today is day 39. It's a little bit warmer here today in Florida, so welcome to a sunny day where the humidity is almost back, and it's only February. This is the first time I've worn a tank top and I can't even tell you how long. But let's get to the foundation wear test. So on today's agenda is the most affordable foundation that I have in my collection. This is the Relove Super Serum Hyaluronic Acid Foundation. I do remember a little bit about it, but let's go right into talking about the details. This normally retails for $5. I do believe it's $3 right now on the Revolution Beauty website, or you can find this for $4.98 at most Walmarts and Walmart online. It does come in 15 what they describe as skin true shades. 15 shades is not a lot. You have a little bit more flexibility with lighter coverage foundations, but I don't feel that this is an overly light coverage foundation. I have mine in the shade F3. It is described as a buildable, lightweight, medium coverage foundation with a dewy finish. It is made in China. It has 0.84 fluid ounces, and it has a 12-month shelf life. So what I remember about this was that it was extremely lightweight, but it was more of a mattifying foundation. I remember it being like pretty medium to full coverage, but I don't remember it having a dewy finish at all. I think I've only used this like a handful of times, and it's been a while since I tested it, so maybe I'm wrong. But yeah, I don't remember it having a dewy finish at all. It having hyaluronic acid is usually a hydrating property. However, a lot of times with hyaluronic acid, depending upon what skincare you pair it with, or really what other products you're using with the hyaluronic acid, sometimes hyaluronic acid can actually dry out your skin. But the foundation itself, in terms of formulation, feels on the drier side. It doesn't feel overly dewy or like that kind of luminous light quality about it. So anyway, let's get into the application of this little guy. If you guys have never seen one of these videos before, I do one side with a brush and one side with a clean dampened sponge, so we can see how the foundation applies with both. Let's start off with a brush. I did not use a ton of product, and I see the dewy finish now, especially right here on my cheeks. It is quite dewy, but at the same time, it's also very powdery. It's honestly quite an interesting texture. I'm just adding a little bit more right here where I feel like I just kind of rubbed it off. And I feel like I was putting a super light layer all over, but it travels really far. Again, I feel like it was more full coverage than it was a medium coverage foundation. But I think the sponge is going to soak up a little bit more on the right side. So let's go into the right side. quite a bit less coverage. I actually want to add some more, like in a couple of places. It might not make a bit of difference like once I get the blush and bronzer on, but I'd like to try and kind of even it out. Quite frankly, it looks beautiful applied with both a sponge and a brush. There are definitely times where I prefer one over the other, but I feel like this formula is just so darn thin. You could really just use anything or even blend it in with your fingers if you want to. I know there are some people out there that do like to blend in their foundation with their fingers. I am not one of those people. It is so beautiful on the skin. It has a really slight dewy finish, but it looks kind of natural-ish. Like it doesn't look overly makeup-y, even though it's giving me pretty solid medium coverage. Those are my first impressions, you guys. I want to go and finish the rest of my complexion, then we'll come back and we will do one final check-in, and then I will go about the wear test. My wear test is generally consisting of at least 8 hours. I do check-ins for you guys in natural light right after application. I do check-ins at the 4 to 5 hour mark in natural light, and at the very end of the evening I come back, I sit down, we look at how the foundation is held up, and we review the footage of my check-ins from my phone. So it'll take me just a second. I will go finish the rest of my makeup and we will be right back. I am all done with the complexion. I just want to say, like, a note to self, maybe moving forward, like once you put concealer on top and powder, it actually looks like a lot more coverage. And I feel like this foundation could definitely handle going in lighter because I don't know, I think it's more full coverage. When everything is said and done, it definitely looks more full coverage. And mind you, I'm just putting concealer here, right? I'm not doing it anywhere else. And I powder pretty much my whole face. Or like this section of my face, I maybe don't powder because I get dewy, you know, pretty much everywhere on my forehead and my T-zone. So knowing the way that I apply this and then I powder over everything, and this definitely looks heavier with everything sitting on top of it. I wouldn't say that it looks bad, but it definitely is like more full coverage and a heavier look on the skin. So far it doesn't look terrible. I worry about the wear though. When it looks heavier on the skin, is it gonna melt into the skin, or is it gonna do that weird thing where it just like ends up looking drier and heavier as the day goes on? So I'm gonna do my natural light check-in for you guys right now at the window, and then I will do it again at 4 to 5 hours and we'll see how it held up. But ultimately we need to make a decision as to whether or not this stays in my collection or it goes, because this was foundation a day for 42 days and we are on day 39 and I'm really trying to cut my collection in half. So if it's not beautiful, it doesn't get to stay. I'll see you guys back here at the very end of the evening. Bye for now. Hey guys, welcome back. It's 8:15. So I've had the foundation on. I probably finished putting it on at 11 o'clock this morning, like after I had an appointment. Then I came back to do the wear test. So I got it on like a little bit later than normal, but here's my full report. I'm gonna jump right into showing you guys what it looked like after application, which I said looked really smoothing and it looked really good. And then I'll show you what it looked like. I think it was right at 4 hours. I didn't go over the 4 hour mark. It still looked pretty good. But the most noticeable thing was how it was kind of breaking apart on my nose. It looked a little bit dry around the nose area. Sometimes I notice that, like if I don't exfoliate well enough, sometimes foundations that have a matte finish or that can tend to be a little bit more drying will definitely, like right on the sides of my nose in my crease, tend to kind of pill up and look a little bit cakey, but I just exfoliated like yesterday. So usually the day after I exfoliate, I get a better application with a foundation, and I don't feel like I got that. I can definitely see how dewy right now my nose is, and I powder. Mondays is one of those days for me where my son like goes to ninja class, and so I do sometimes touch up what I'm wearing in the complexion department just because I'm gonna be going out and about, and I'll usually just kind of powder over my nose. So I did end up powdering over this once already on my nose and a little bit on my forehead. So this is after that. So it's not as though it's like a super long wearing oil controlling foundation, but it doesn't have to be. It didn't claim to be. It's supposed to be a lightweight, medium coverage, dewy finish foundation, essentially, with hyaluronic acid. So that's all fine, but I don't think it's that dewy finish really. I almost feel like it's like a self-setting matte coverage foundation that just doesn't control the oils, basically. And at the 4 hour mark, I really hated the way that it was looking on the sides of my nose. And that's usually an indication for me, like whether or not my oils are gonna kind of break up the formula in a way. And I was looking through my drawer because we are at day 39, and this is the most inexpensive one I have so far. So I wanted to look and see what some of the other drugstore options I kept, because I think that's a consideration, not just keeping everything that's luxury or high end and or both. And so far, I've honestly kept like 6 or 7 drugstore options that I think are kind of top tier right now for me and my personal preferences, not just for the sake of filming, you know, something I may reference as like an alternative option to compare against something. I almost like never do that unless it's an end of the year roundup. I thought I was gonna keep this because I remember really liking it, but in looking at my collection, there's other ones that I just prefer more, that I've already done the wear test on through the series, that I just prefer more than that one. So I'm gonna let it go. And not at all do I feel bad about my decision, and that's the most important thing. I want to use it because I love it. So the new total here is I have decluttered 23 and I've still kept 16 on day 39. Feels so good about that, you guys. I really feel like I'm getting a sense on how I want to test foundations moving into the future. Do I love it? No, I don't love it. Is it important for reference? Okay, great. Is it suck for both? Let's just get rid of it. That's how I feel about it, you guys. As always, you guys, I hope you found this video helpful. I hope you enjoyed. I'm out of here and I hope to catch you in the next one. Bye, guys.